Shalom, good people. Shalom, and welcome back again to another Sunday night edition of Nfnc Sunday Rap Session. And my people, I'm just going to be here to tell you that unfortunately, this is the last one for this year. As we bring this year to a close, I had to go back in our archives, go back on Google, and pick out the stories that was most influential, most impactful to us this year. And I'm gonna tell you, it was a wild year, right? We had good things, and we also had some bad things. So moving forward, just want to let y'all know that news, facts, and comments Nfnc Sunday Rap Session coming this coming year will only be seen on news, facts, and comments on YouTube. So if you haven't gone over there and subscribe immediately, so that you'll be up to date when we come back in the 2024 year and we coming back strong. I'm telling you guys, like we have so much planned to go ahead and change the way we give the news and change the way how you're going to be receiving the news. It's just going to be so impactful. So as you can see here on my screen, going over the news, facts, and comments. If you are viewing now and you haven't subscribed to, if you are viewing now on Major TV, Let's Talk, or on a Cody Speaks, go on over to news, facts, and comments now and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified and give the video a thumb up. That helps us in our algorithms. As you all know, we don't play any games over here when it comes to news that affects our people and that has a major impact on our people. And that's what we want to continue to bring to you every week after week, starting in the second Sunday of January 2024. We'll be back. We're going to take a 2-week break. Second Sunday of 2024, we'll be back with Nfnc Sunday Rap Session, and I guarantee you're going to like the way we're going to roll out the new platform at that time. So you all gather here today because you've seen the thumbnail. We're going to do the top 10 stories that had the most impact on us this past year, right? So it was very hard, family, to pick out um just 10. So I might do more than 10, right? But before we get into the 10 stories that made history or it was very impactful this year, I want to go ahead and share with you this story. And we touched upon it last night on the live when we were dealing with law enforcement and their unlawful acts. And we learned about, over the last couple of days, we learned about this gentleman. Mesquite police released body cam footage of surveillance video of this young man who was shot and killed while in a police vehicle. All these stories you can see and more on newsfactsnc.net. Also subscribe to this website for current events, world news, entertainment news, sports news, and most importantly, the news that's affecting and affecting our community in this day and hour. So this story comes out of Mesquite, Texas, and go ahead and share that with you just briefly. For those of you who missed the broadcast on last night when we had that open discussion, this is the story about Peyton Lawrence. He's no longer with us. He died at the hands of a trigger-happy police officer who just happened to be a 17-year veteran. Shot the gentleman around 3 a.m. On December 14th. Of course, they're looking to do some investigations, as that's always the story with these police officers, and they're being able to investigate themselves when it comes to the death of one of us. And so it's going to be, I guess it's going to be a long drawn out thing, but most importantly, what we need to know in this story is that the gentleman appeared to be, Mr. Lawrence appeared to be an accessory to a crime of a stolen vehicle. He was in his vehicle when he was shot dead by the police. And, a lot of people, including his fan, that he did not deserve to die behind a stolen vehicle. And so we got to wait to see how this is all going to play out. I predicted on yesterday that chances are the cop is going to come back and say that, he's behind, Mr. Lawrence was behind a vehicle which could be used as a deadly weapon, considered a deadly weapon when it's aimed at a police officer or at anyone. is considered a deadly weapon. So that's why he fired and killed this young man. Since his life taken, 19 years old, he's no longer with us. Please send up your prayers for the family as they go through this tough time, and may they get justice for Mr. Lawrence. And so that was one story that came across my news desk this week, along with this other one right here of Miss Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She is the governor of Arkansas. And it was a report that came out that the jails in her state, they're treating people inhumanely in the prison system. It says here Newsweek began examining criminal justice issues in Arkansas after reporting in January on the death of Larry Eugene Price, who starved to death in Arkansas jail. His case is now the subject of a federal lawsuit. This installment examines healthcare issues and how overcrowding and understaffing in jails and prisons across Arkansas is impacting care. Barefoot in Arkansas ice storm, Jennifer Johnson walked up the drive-through window of a McDonald's suffering from bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. Johnson, 49, was in the throes of a year-long psychotic break when the restaurant figuring she was high, called the Springdale police. But Johnson fled, according to police records, made it back to the car she had ditched on the side of the highway and sped off. Convinced Freemasons were after her. So clearly, this person had some mental challenges, and the police, of course, they busted Jones' car window to arrest her, and she was booked into Benton County Jail with a $50,000 bond on felony charges of endangering a police officer's lives, as well as reckless driving and fleeing the police records show. So she was having this psychotic breakdown, and they wanted to arrest her instead of seeking medical help for her. So that's why this story has made headlines, and the conditions were such that such lack of care is not unusual in Arkansas, and which has only 50 beds allocated for inmates at the only state-run psychiatric institution that deals with an incarcerated population of nearing 18,000 people. So this is another sad case, and I do hope that Sarah Huckabee Sanders has some very good explanations as to why she has such overcrowding in her prisons, and what she's going to do to right this wrong of this wrongful death, and dealing with individuals who seem to have mental incapacities. Should they be arrested, you guys, or should they be taken to a psychiatric place for evaluation? Should they be taken to the hospital rather than a prison or a psychiatric ward? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, getting to my favorite story of the year. I was elated to see that Mr. Ozone Wallace was not sentenced to death, as the Daytona Police Department and the prosecutor attorney was wanting to have this man executed for shooting and killing Daytona police officer Jason Rayner in a clear case of self-defense. So now Mr. Wallace is appealing the manslaughter charge that he was given. He is appealing that verdict, and so this has made my top 10 of the best news stories that came across my desk in 2023. I had the pleasure of being down there in Daytona, Florida for the case. And I tell you that Mr. Wallace is a very humble young man, and he deserves all of you guys' support. Please support his legal defense fund at othal.org, othal.org, and so that you can help him be able to have a chance to come home with his children, raise his children before they're all adults. The judge sentenced him to 30 years. That was quite excessive. And also, this was a clear case of self-defense. So I do believe that he should be entitled to a second trial upon appeal. So do keep his mother in your prayers during this time of the year. And we hope to see our brother home very, very soon, based on based on his appeal and the things that's going to come out in trial. We look forward to seeing that. So again, support this brother at otho.org, if you will. Donate to his legal defense fund. So that was my number one news story. Of course, you guys, I'm kind of biased, but let me know in advance. Let me know down in the bottom. Let me know in the chat or in the comment section, what was your favorite news stories that came across, you know, your social media platform or your social media feed this year. Let me know if I missed anything, but we're going to run through these rather quickly. My second favorite story is the story that Afro-descendant nation, along with Malik Zulu Shabazz, former president of the New Black Panther Party, as well as Ramsey Yunus of Republic of Detroit, Republic of Jackson. They all got together recently for a conference call, and we look like we're moving further in our moving quite along in our quest for reparations. There's a telephone number out there. Let me see if I can pull that number up for you guys right quick. Yes. And I'll share that number with you all once again. That did make news, and I think that's very important news. So that telephone number, you can text reparations to 877-506-2184. It's going to ask you a series of questions. I believe it's like 5 questions. You answer yes or no to those things, and then your vote is then counted. If you're going to vote for anything, we know that the 2024 elections are coming up soon. If you're going to vote for anything, vote for your own self and your people's chance at reparations. This is the closest thing that I've seen to progress on that avenue of reparations for us. So once again, 877-506-2184. Go ahead and cast your vote. You won't be disappointed if all of us are able to cast our votes and show these people that it's time for them to pay up. Perhaps we'll see something, and we won't know if it's going to work until we all try it. Once we all try it and nothing comes up after it, then we could say that was a complete failure. But don't say it's a complete failure before you even try it. So let's see where they're going with that. Continue to support them. That's the Afro-Descendant Nation. Here's their website, www.afrodescendant.org, where you can learn about all the events that they have planned. You can even go ahead and become a member of the website, become a member of the nation. This is a whole nation here with presidents, elected senators, and the whole 9 yards. They have their own form of government going on. So please join us and become a part of the Afro-Descendant Nation, regardless to if you're FBA, Foundational Black Americans. Chances are you were enslaved. So then you too can be a part of the Afro-Descendant Nation. Don't get caught up on the title. Just say focus on the mission. The mission is reparations for all of us who were enslaved and all of us who have been victims of systematic racism. So speaking of racism, this story came across my desk just today. It came out 5 days ago, and it says here that New York Governor Hochul signs bill on reparations, joining California and these other cities. Let's find out who else is on the list, who's wanting and willing to give us reparations. This is not a joke. This is for real. So New York's Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul signed a bill into law on Tuesday, creating a commission to study the impact of slavery and centuries of racism in the state and potentially propose reparations, becoming the second state to take action on the issue, which has also faced criticism largely from the right. So guess what? I'm going to tell you right now, lady, we don't need another study, okay? We don't need another study to see the impact of slavery. We don't need another story for you to see that the slavery has fueled the injustices, the criminal injustice system. It has fueled the systemic racism. All of that stems back from slavery. So we don't need another study to know that. We don't need another study to know that African Americans who are descendants of slaves have been impactfully, disproportionately subjugated and held back from achieving on levels of our other nations, the white and the Japanese and the Chinese comrades. Even Mexicans or Latinos come out better than we do in forms of education, health, in economics for sure. We're number one in losing. So we don't need another study to figure out if slavery has an impact and for you to decide that you need to give us reparations from the harm that was done by your people. Just cut the check. That's what we need to do. It says here, key facts, Hochul signed the bill Tuesday morning, just over 6 months after both chambers of New York State's legislature approved the bill, and 3 years after California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a law creating a similar task force to study reparations. My thing is, how long are we going to study? How long is the commission's going to be, in session to study? Do they have a deadline to come up with a solution? That's my thing, because we've been studying and studying and studying for too long, and if y'all don't get the point by now, then that's why we need to go ahead and text to this number again. Because if we waiting on them to decide to give us reparations, never have, because they're just going to keep on studying us, and then they'll be studying our grandkids next, right? But we as an adults who have a cell phone can simply text reparations to 877-506-2184. That's all you have to do. Let's start there. And let's stop depending on people like the governor of New York and the governor of California to decide whether or not they study is going to be acceptable for us to receive reparations. Speaking of reparations, we want to go ahead and turn your attention to this story that made headlines for us this year. This is Brother Ramzu Yunus, and I was quite shocked when I seen this come across my news desk and learned that our brother was in Russia making alliances with the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, and he went over there under his organization. Ramzu went over there under his organization, NATO, right? I know y'all heard of NATO, but this is NATO. I mean NAPO. They have NATO, but this is NAPO, right? And he said that Russia has agreed to $300 billion for African Americans' independence in a form of trade. But that can't even happen, as let Ramzu tell you, that can't happen until we as African Americans stand up and assert our right of self-determination, get our reparations, and then we can start trading with Russia. But I thought that was a very interesting story. Our brother been there over there in Russia, and he said that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And that was totally the case with him meeting with President Putin's team in regards to how they're going to further and strengthen their alliance through NATO. Okay, so sadly, I have to report this story. This is a recent story. It was published on December 22nd. A 27-year-old woman who called 911 for help was fatally shot by an LA deputy, Los Angeles deputy. Let's read about this story. I'm not quite sure if you all have heard of this. Hard. Nfnc Finalison, a 27-year-old Black woman, was fatally shot by a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy responding to a domestic violence call, authorities said Thursday. The same deputy killed another person in a similar incident 3 years ago. On December 4th, Finalison called 911 to report that her boyfriend would not leave her alone, and then screaming and sounds of a struggle could be heard, according to a report released by the sheriff's department. Finalison and her 9-year-old daughter were being attacked by the mother's former boyfriend and needed help, according to Bradley Gage, a lawyer for Finalison's family. When deputies arrived at her apartment in Lancaster, the Los Angeles County Sheriff Department said Finalison opened the front door and was threatening her boyfriend with a large kitchen knife. She told deputies her boyfriend had pushed her daughter. The boyfriend was not named by officials. Finalison grabbed her boyfriend while holding the knife in an apparent attempt to stab him, and a deputy involved shooting occurred. Finalison was struck by gunfire, fell to the floor, and dropped the knife. So the young lady's family disputes the sheriff's department account of what happened. The family's lawyer disputed the department's account of the incident and a notice of their plan to file a lawsuit against the county and the sheriff's department alleging wrongful death, assault, and civil rights violations. According to the family lawyer, Bradley Cage, Finlayson was a victim of domestic violence and was not threatening anyone when deputies shot her in the back from behind a glass door. Deputies performed first aid on Finlayson until the paramedics arrived, according to the Los Angeles Sheriff Department. She was then transported to a local hospital where she was pronounced dead. The young lady died of multiple gunshot wounds, according to the county medical examiner. Homicide was listed as the manner of death, and autopsy has not yet been publicly released. Rather than coming to her aid, they wound up shooting and killing her, Cage said in a press conference on Thursday. The family is seeking $30 million in damages and legal fees. Now, see, family, that's exactly why we need to start policing ourselves. That's exactly what the conversation we had last night was about. Who's going to police the police? Instead of her calling 911, she should have had another number available to her where we as a community come out, the brothers come out to deal with such behavior from another brother that's doing domestic violence against our young ladies in the community. That's why it's important that we community police ourselves, because when we're dealing with these sheriffs, they're so trigger happy and they're so scary. I've never in my life seen a group of individuals who want to be police officers whose main job is to protect and serve always say that they fear for their life, or always so afraid in the event of some violent altercation. Like, you're in the wrong profession if that scares you. And so for them to shoot her from the other side of the door, they was not even in the apartment apparently, and you shoot her dead multiple times. You shoot multiple times, like your finger you just freaking trigger happy. And that's what that disturbs me so much, because I know that if we were community policing, incidents such as this would not happen. I'm just so convinced of that. So that's a tragic story. Please pray that her family is able to seek justice. Beautiful young lady being attacked by her boyfriend. She calls 911 thinking she's going to get help, and she ends up dead. From a 911 call, she tried to call someone to come help her, and this is what happens. I'm sorry I have to report this, but these are the things that come across my desk that I think that we should to, and just to ram home the point that we need our own community policing. Okay, so let's go to our next story here. And this is along the same lines, but it's dealing more with mass shootings. This country has seen a record number of mass shootings in the year of 2023. It has to be the most violent country. When I'm saying that citizens are arming themselves and purposely going out to kill other citizens. Okay, so here's a list of all the mass shootings that was recorded in this report in 2023, starting with December 22nd in New York. A man was killed and 3 others were wounded in a likely gang-related shooting in South Jamaica neighborhood, Queens. That's us, folks. 1 dead, 3 injured. Austin, Texas, December 16th. A man injured 3 people outside a downtown Austin bar before being killed and shot out in a shootout with police. Memphis, Tennessee, December 15th. 2 men, 21-year-old and 20-year-old, were killed and 3 others critically injured in a targeted shooting at a car wash in the Autumn Ridge neighborhood. And the list just keeps going on and on. Like, this part right here. Look at this, you guys. It's like all of these shootings, and they're considering mass shootings when more than one person are injured or killed and as a result of the shooting. So we're not talking about one-on-one gunfire, like the OK Corral, like the shootout, just shootout. You know what I mean? This is just people just going buck wild, just firing indiscriminately, and whoever gets hit, they just get hit. They're just victims of it. So from January to December, they had a total of 559 mass shootings. All right. Total dead, 660. Total number wounded, 2,330. And the year is not over. We still have, 6 more days to go? 6 more days to go. And I heard just briefly today that we're on high alert, especially in the Jewish synagogues, because Hamas and the so-called Hezbollah and people of the Islamic faith has said that it now's the time for Islamic people in America to go ahead and voice their opinion and show them that they are not they're not happy with the United States taking a stance that they're going to back Israel in their war. So they need to come over here in the United States because we're allies with Israel and wreak havoc over here. So we're on high alert, everyone. Keep your head on a swivel because they're planning to do some things. That's what the chatter is. They're planning to do some nefarious things before the end of the year. So just keep your head on the swivel. You heard it here first. Yes, they are planning to do some harm to United States citizens. You know what I mean? So particularly those people who worship in synagogues, we call them the small hats. So that part. So let's go ahead to another top story that actually made me laugh. It was sort of kind of funny, right? So there's this gentleman by the name of Dr. Malcolm Tanner. And some of you may have seen him on Instagram and on TikTok. He said that he's running for president. And I had the honor of talking to him one day and trying to figure out exactly what his platform was. But he was so rude and could not explain to me what his platform was. And he's supposed to be running for president and making all of these wild promises of giving every African American $5,000 a month, including their babies. And I'm like saying, well, who's going to give you the authorization to do that? He said he's going to do it by executive order. And I'm saying it just doesn't work that way. Yes, presidents have discretionary spending budgets, but there's a cap to that. Like in your discretionary spending budget is allocated by Congress, who appropriates those funds. So he's thinking he can just do all of these things, making all of these promises to, hate to say it, silly ass black folks, and not understanding the way that their government actually works. He's gonna say so-called run for president. So when I went and I did my research on him, I see that he has not even put anything in his coffers. He doesn't have a PAC running behind him. So I'm thinking that he's running on the on the premise that all black folks are just going to write him in as president, and that's going to get him to the office. But I did notice lately that he has toned his rhetoric down. I don't see him as much on TikTok, and I don't see him as much on Instagram spreading those lies. So I don't know how many people have donated to his campaign. I don't know how many people are still rocking with Dr. Malcolm Tanner. But if you see him, you can give him your support. But before voting for him, I would definitely ask him what exactly is he running on, other than a bunch of empty promises about some executive orders that has to be appropriated through Congress. I'm just saying. His discretionary budget as president can only be so big, and it would only last so long. And by you giving $5,000 a month to every African American for the rest of their life, your budget, I mean, that's just ludicrous. But I guess if he gets in and he's able to do it, I'll take the $5,000 until his discretionary budget runs out, I guess. So as you can see here, we had a record number of might have heard there was a record number of African Americans that said that they were throwing their bid in for presidents presidency. But as of right now, I don't think any of those African Americans are considered the forerunners, front runners, and either on the Democratic side or the Republican side. We do have our dear brother, Mr. Cornel West. He's running as an independent, and so I do think that, if you're looking to vote for someone who has a proven track record of standing up for our people, and if you're still participating in the election, then it would be Mr. Cornel West that you would be voting for, because I do believe Tim Scott dropped out of the race, and Larry Elder, I don't even think stands a show. Larry Elder has withdrawn. Will Hurd was another man of color that withdrew, and of course Tim Scott, he withdrew his name as well. And you can see here, Mr. Cornel West, he is still in the hunt as an independent, as well as Robert Kennedy. I think that that's going to be his biggest opponent on the independent ticket side. A lot of people like Robert F. Kennedy. Of course, he's the relative of the former president, Mr. Kennedy, President Kennedy. And so Cornel West is one of us, our brother. He's a philosopher and an activist, and he announced his candidacy back in June 2023. So I wish Mr. Cornel West luck. I heard that he's gaining traction. A lot of people like him because he endorsed Bernie Sanders. Hopefully he can draw all of those Bernie Sanders people, and they'll agree to vote for him instead of voting for sleepy Joe Biden and Kamala Stankfoot Harris. I just think she looked like, I'm just a little side joke. Kamala Harris looked like her feet stink. I don't know why, but looked like her feet would stink. I've always felt that way. Anyways, don't like the lady. But anyways, moving on. Okay, so back to news, facts, and comments, right? News, facts, and comments, newsfactsnc.net. Don't forget to subscribe. Here's where you can find all of your latest news stories. Okay, so we spoke briefly about this story on yesterday. Officer found not guilty of shooting the handcuffed man, William Green. He's 43 years old. He was fatally shot by police in January of 2020. And now they're calling for the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division to investigate the death after the officer who shot Green was acquitted of second-degree murder, misconduct in office, and assault charges on last week. So that officer will not be facing any jail time. So they're asking that the Department of Justice look into it, and I guess they're hoping to win a civil lawsuit. Green's family settled. Well, actually, they're going after him criminally again, but I don't know about that. So it's kind of weird, because it says here Green's family settled the police department for $20 million in September at the time, and it was the highest payout on record for a wrongful death lawsuit in U.S. Green's family said Monday during a press conference that the Department of Justice should investigate the case, arguing that Owen violated Green's civil rights during the shooting and questioning Owen's account of the incident since he was not wearing a body cam. The Maryland chapter of American Civil Liberties Union supported Green's family demand for the DOJ investigation. So I'm not quite sure what they're hoping to get out of this. Are they hoping to have him thrown in jail from the Department of Justice? I'm not quite sure. They've already been paid civilly. But we'll see. According to the lawsuit, 1 month before he killed Green, Owen was seen on camera pressing his fingers into the sides of another handcuffed man's neck, ordering him to calm down. Another video from a year earlier showed Owen wrapping his arm around a man's neck during an altercation that followed a traffic stop. The lawsuit states the officer of Ashea Braveboy, the Prince George's County State Attorney, stood by its work in the case of Owen. Our office put forth a strong prosecution against former Corporal Owen, supported by solid evidence and facts in the possession of the state. Despite our efforts, the jury reached a verdict of not guilty. Brave Boy's office said in a statement, while we stand by our case and disagree with the verdict, we hold the utmost respect for our legal system and due process it ensures, the statement read. It's important to clarify that at no stage did the state's attorney's office attribute blame to any individual involved and associated with the case. The jury's decision is, as often as the case in our courtrooms, was a reflection of their interpretation and evaluation of the evidence and facts as presented. Well, not quite sure where we're going with this, having the DOJ investigate. Hopefully, they can get whatever justice that they're seeking. May the brother rest in power and the family find some closure. So another fascinating story that I had on my agenda. Oh my goodness, this brother here, if y'all don't know his name, say his name, Mr. Ron Dalton. He is the author of Hebrews to Negroes. He is the one that got so-called Kyrie Irving got involved with small hats regarding, being anti-Semitic or not. This is the man that started it all with a video that came out years prior to Kyrie Irving ever posting on X, right? And Mr. Ron Dalton's name is not in the news. Why? Because they're afraid to talk to this guy, and they want his movies banned, his books banned. They don't want you to talk about him on YouTube. I know of several individuals whose channel was taken down just because they advertised what? They advertised the fact that this movie right here is gonna be actually they were advertising the fact that he was holding a conference. He held the conference in November, and they were advertising that conference for people to come out, and you were able to see the movie, right? A private screening of the movie H2N, right? And so Mr. Ryan Dalton is saying that this movie is a game changer. It's a documentary, and it's a game changer for who? The African American community. And so the small hats are adamant about not having this film shown here in America or anywhere, right? So even in South Africa, they gave him a hard time, but luckily the South Africans was like, hold up, y'all can't tell us what to do. We're going to let this movie play. And they played it in South Africa. So what I'm saying all this to say that was an epic move by Mr. Ron Dalton. He has, he's just moving forward. He's not giving up. He's saying, look, this is my hard work. I want my people to see it. It's going to be a game changer, and they deserve to see it. So I said all that to say that you have an opportunity to view this film. If you go to his website, you go to his website, and the website is HebrewsToNegrosTV.com. And he's also going to be sharing with you all the private Zoom call or Zoom conference that they held. And he's going to be showing clips of that as well. So you can also email him to receive a link so that you can also view these, view the Zoom call and hear the conference. He's going to show some information that's not in the video or not in the documentary. And you can email him at Hebrews to Negroes at yahoo.com, Hebrews to Negroes at yahoo.com, Hebrews to Negroes at yahoo.com. If you're interested in seeing the private Zoom conference as well as viewing the movie, go to Hebrews to Negroes TV.com to pay to see the movie. Support this brother. This is for us, by us, and it's just going to be a game changer. Because if it wasn't, why would the small hats be going through so much trouble to stop this movie from coming out? I just actually, they got all kind of garbage that's coming to the screen, and they're letting any and everybody make movies about whatever they want to, but he can't make his documentary. His documentary can't come out. All right. So if y'all planning to go see the Book of Clarence, you should be trying to see H2N, Hebrews to Negroes 3. And so that was one of my favorite part of my top 10. Ryan Dalton is his name, if y'all didn't know. Support that brother. Good brother. Okay. So let's see what we have here. All right. So in the world, speaking of the world of entertainment, Beyonce made the top 10. Beyonce surpasses the record for the most Grammy wins of all time. And I believe she was on tour this year, and she sold out, record breaking. Can't remember the name of her tour, but she did that thing. So say the singer broke the record set by the late Hungarian British conductor George Solotti for the most Grammy wins of all time. Wow. That's pretty good. I mean, I'm not a fan of Beyonce, whatever, but kudos to her for setting records. She set the record this year, so I had to bring her up because she made headline news. Beyonce who has already won the most Grammys of any female artist, received nominations for major categories like Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Album of the Year, the latter of which she has never won. Harry Styles took home the prize for Album of the Year, while Lizzo took home the prize for Record of the Year, and Bonnie Raitt Song of the Year. This year, Beyonce also tied the record for most nominations ever after securing 9 nods to push her career total to 88, a record she now shares with her husband Jay-Z. So congratulations to the both of them. Moving on. How many of you all remember the Maui wildfires? That was like the largest natural disaster and most devastating natural disaster in United States history, surpassing even Hurricane Katrina. That's what they're saying. Hawaii governor now, this is as of December 15th, Hawaii governor wants 3,000 vacation rentals converted to housing for Maui wildfire survivors. So they still have not housed everyone that was displaced as a result of the fires. They still in need of housing. And December 12th, they said heart of Hawaii's historic Lahaina scene of deadly wildfires reopens to residents after 4 months. So that was another story that made headline news. They say while local and state government officials have hesitated to identify a specific cause of the wildfires, as of August 7th, some evidence suggests that sparks produced by a downed power line may have touched off at least one of the fires. Meteorologists and climate researchers noted that the fires were likely to have been the product of several intersecting factors. The fires occurred at the height of Hawaii's dry season, and their severity was exacerbated by the presence of El Nino. So they're saying a whole lot of different factors caused these fires. What I do know is that a lot of people went into Hawaii on a massive land grab after the fires took place. And it's just like, to me, it just reminded me of Hurricane Katrina. When the hurricane came through, people were displaced. Then the big investors came in, bought up these properties from people who didn't have homeowners insurance, gave them a little bit of money, 50 cents on the dollar for their homes, and then they rebuilt, renovated these homes, and jacked the prices up so that anybody who was in that certain kind of income class that used to live in those neighborhoods could not even afford to move back into those neighborhoods. And so I think that's exactly what's going to happen over there in Hawaii. Just the same, it's all about a land grab. Okay, and of course, our favorite our favorite former president, Mr. Donald Trump, he made news too. Top 10 again. I have several top 10s. So top 10s in this, and top 10s in entertainment, top 10s in sports, top 10s in natural, everything. Just top 10. Like I told you, I could not decide. So much happened this year. Trump becomes the first current or former president to be indicted. Okay, this story came out in March of this year. How many of you all know that he's facing 34 charges? 34 charges, and most of them are stemming from election interference with the election, as well as being an instigator of the riots on January 6th. So they coming at him from both ways, and so I wish him luck. I don't know, Mr. Trump. They say a lot of black folks is gonna be voting for Donald Trump because Sleepy Joe Biden hasn't done anything for black people, which I don't know why people would expect them to have done anything for black people, because he thinks your children are little roaches, right? That's what he said. I didn't say it. He said it out of his mouth. But so even though Donald Trump has said, look at my African American friend, like these people are so racist that they can't even hide it. But at the same time, like someone said, I vote for the lesser of both, lesser of two evils. Well, for me, I don't vote for evil at all, so I will not be participating in their force of selection. It's not an election; they are selected in advance. Thank you. All righty then. Okay, another story that made news that may have affected you and your family. Did you all know that there were nearly 400 strikes in 2023? I'm talking about union workers, from writers in Hollywood all the way down to automakers. 400 strikes in 2023, and experts think that there's more to come. Meaning more to come in 2024. More people are going to be striking. More people are going to be out of work. More people are going to be losing income. Nothing succeeds like success. Workers made their voices heard in 2023. Between January 1st and November 30th, there were 393 strikes in the U.S. involving more than 500,000 workers, according to Johnny Kalas, a PhD candidate at Cornell University School of Industrial and Labor Relations and director of University Labor's Action Tracker. This year saw more work stoppages involving 1,000 or more workers than any year since 2013, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Do you all know anyone that went on strike? Do you all know anyone that's part of a union that went on strike? I just want to know if our people were affected in this, because auto workers, we used to represent the largest percentage of people who were in the auto industry, and for some reason, we stopped working at these auto plants. We don't know if it's because the unions got pushed out by the unions, or we just found employment other places, or our young people are not interested in working in factories. We're more interested in starting our own companies, or working for the government. Those used to be jobs that were considered, would put you in a what do you call, in a middle class standing. They're now not available anymore. um Y'all give me 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully that's not anything too serious. All right. So yeah, like I was saying, usually we held those jobs that promoted us up to what we call middle class status, but not not quite sure if we're still in those industries. But in addition to the auto workers, then there were also the writers and the actors and whatnot that went on strike as well. That affected Hollywood, all the way from the people who were driving the actors in, or setting up the sets of these movies and sitcoms and whatever. It affected a lot of people, and they're part of the SAG-AFTRA team, TV and film actors, and the Screen Actors Guild Federation of Television and Radio Artists too reached a stalemate with AMPTP beginning a 118-day strike in July. Issues included wages, residential residuals, and age of streaming and AI. In the age of, so they're saying we want our residuals. You're streaming our faces and our work on all these different platforms, and we're not getting the benefits of it. And I can see why they would have a problem with that. So you had the UAW, that's the auto workers, and the Kaiser Permanente healthcare workers went on strike. I mean, these people just were striking all over the place. And I just want to know from my family, did it affect you? Did it affect you or any of your loved ones? Inquiring minds wants to know. Top stories. We're talking about top 10 stories that made news and headlines during the 2023 cycle, this Gregorian calendar cycle. So another story. How many of you guys remember when the Chinese spy balloon floated across the United States, and President Biden tried to pretend like it didn't happen, or say, "Oh no, no, they're there. Just let them continue to go." Eventually, I believe they took it down, but not after China. China probably got all the good surveillance that they needed in order to what maybe bomb the place. I'm not quite sure why they had their balloons surveilling over America, but it actually happened. So it says here that they're originated from China and flew across North America airspace, including Alaska, Western Canada, and the contiguous United States. On February 4th, the U.S. Air Force shot down the balloon over U.S. territorial waters off the coast of South Carolina. So it went straight across, like from west all the way from the west coast all the way to the east coast before they shot it down. Okay. So I don't know if did they recover anything that could tell us what the Chinese were looking for. I don't know. Following preliminary analysis of the debris, officials stated that the balloon carried intelligence gathering equipment, but does not appear to have sent information back to China. Please, come on now. How many of y'all believe that? Now they're gonna do all of that from the west coast to east coast and not send anything back. So you're trying to say you shot it down before they were able to transmit it? Come on now. In the day of AI, that stuff is done instantly. Just as soon as I can switch from this tab right here, that's how fast they can send information back to China. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. And they're gonna keep telling us lies, and we're gonna keep drinking the Kool-Aid, and we're gonna stay stupid. I ain't falling for it no more. In 2024, no more. I don't know about y'all, but that made headline news. And of course, we remember these sottish individuals. 5 Memphis ex-police officers charged with the murder in jail over the death of Tyre Nichols. How many of y'all remember that? I was most definitely disappointed to see it was us involved in that horrific crime. 5 former Memphis police officers have been indicted in jail in the beating death of Tyre Nichols, who died days after a traffic stop on January 7th. I don't even want to call their names. I just don't want to call their names. But say his name, Tyre Nichols, may he rest in peace, rest in power. And I pray that, the Most High have mercy on these 5 gentlemen. So it's unfortunate that this incident happened, and unfortunate that these individuals who had the power and authority to interact with this brother went to such measures as to take his life. I say again, community policing. Someone needs to police the police, even if it's our own that have gone rogue. We still need someone looking out for the community, because obviously the police, the law enforcement, the people that we give badges to, they're not looking out for our best interest. They on some type of power trip or, power trip. I just sometimes I just have no words for it. But I do know that something has to change in the way that we conduct business with one another, and the way or the lack of protection that we're given. So, like I said, I pray for the family of Tyre Nichols. May he rest in power, and may the Most High have mercy on 5 men. So, for what they did to this young man. So that was another top story that really shocked me this year. And of course, this story. The Supreme Court guts affirmative action, effectively ending race-conscious admissions. So the Supreme Court decided that, colleges and universities can no longer set aside admissions just for African Americans. Basically, that's what they're saying. I am a student that was accepted into a university based on affirmative action. So I do say that it is worth it. At the university I went to, there was very, very few African American students, so much so that they had to have a Black student union. at the university, and that wasn't started until after I came and was on my way out. I believe they did it my second semester, my junior year, and then senior year, and I believe they still have it. But what I'm saying is that a lot of times I sit up in the classroom and I was the only African American, so-called Black person in the class. And usually each class had at least 15 to 21 students at a time. And sometimes when you set in those one-on-one classes, they could have over 200 people there in an auditorium filled, for those one-on-one classes at a time. You know what I mean? So, and for me to be the only African American in those classes, that was quite ridiculous. But I can say I was glad I was there and I was represented. I graduated, and I graduated because of affirmative action. And it wasn't because I wasn't smart enough, because obviously I was smart enough to be there. But if it had not been for affirmative action, I probably would have not been selected. And so it is needed. Affirmative action is needed, and it's just it's a shame that the Supreme Court decided to take this stance and reverse the affirmative action legislation. But you know, obviously, some people think that racism is over and done with because they elected a Black president, and now they got a so-called Black female vice president. They think that racism is over, but they're sadly mistaken. And because of that, they're gonna have to pay. Eventually they will pay. I know somebody. That's all I'm gonna say to that. All right, so despite Simone Biles being in the news recently about her boyfriend and her boyfriend's statements, that to overshadow the fact that she is a female athlete of the year. Female athlete of the year by Associated Press. After returning to the gymnastics, they said a dazzling return. So when Simone Biles walked onto the floor at the suburban Chicago arena in late July for her first gymnastic competition in 2 years, she knew plenty of people were wondering how it was going. I thought that too. Don't worry, Biles said with a laugh. So sister got back on the floor and performed like she had never left. So don't let the rumors and all of this bullcrap going around about her boyfriend, who's an NFL football player, saying that he never knew her. Don't let that overshadow her success in AP Associated Press naming her athlete of the year. So shouts out to Simone Biles. I remember when she first came out, people were talking about her hair, and people just was saying everything except the fact that she was a damn good gymnast. So salute to her for not giving up and staying on it. Beautiful sister. So congratulations to her. She's another one of my top 10 story picks of the year. So I don't do the gossip thing, but she did make headlines because of this guy right here. Jonathan Owens is her husband, and apparently he made a statement in an interview saying that he never knew who she was, and that he's the catch, not her. So, and a lot of people took difference to what he was saying, but I let it go in one ear and out the other. And here's what Simone said about the whole incident. She was like, "Are y'all done yet?" And I'm like that too. Like, when y'all done talking, don't forget that I am AP's, athlete of the year. You go, girl. That's what I'm saying. That's how I handle them too. I have no time for the negativity. Okay. All right. So y'all remember the guy who played NFL football and he kind of like passed out on the field, and everybody was worried because he like literally had a cardiac arrest after taking the vaccination. So, well, Mr. Damar Hamlin, he's the most searched person on Google in 2023. A lot of people wanted to find out what happened to him. So he is the most searched person in 2023. He I think they say he's going to play today. I'm not quite sure if he played today, but that's his award for being able to recover from a cardiac arrest and return to the football field. So congratulations to this man and his recovery and making the most searched individual in 2023. So we just cutting up and making records all over the place, y'all. Pay attention. Pay attention. We are doing it. Regardless to what they say, we are really doing it. And of course, you know, the talk of the town, because your tax dollars are going over there. Ukraine and the Russian war at a glance. What we know on day 669, and that's as of December 25th. Waves of Russian shelling and drone attacks in the Ukrainian region of Kherson Saturday. Many Ukrainians will on Monday celebrate Christmas Day on December 25th for the first time. Okay. Former TV journalist Yekaterina Dostova has said she will challenge the Supreme Court decision that disqualified her from running in the Russian presidential election next year. Okay. Well, okay. Poland's new foreign minister has called on European countries to boost long-term plans for military production. So I think this is not exactly all Ukraine, but Russian shelling drone attacks reported in the region of Kherson. Ukraine plans to celebrate Christmas on December 25th. That's the latest news. Of course, you know, I mentioned this because a lot of your tax dollars are still going to pay for the Ukrainian war against Russia. So that part, just pay attention to that. If you guys don't stand up and tell them you don't want to be a part of it, you don't want your tax dollars to be used in such a way, they're going to continue to do it. And now my computer is frozen. I guess they didn't like what I said, because there we go. My goodness. All right, let's try to move on if they let me. So they don't want me to move on, y'all. I think I was running close to the end anyways. Oh my goodness, for real. My whole computer screen is frozen, you guys, and I'm trying to well, family, I'm back. They kicked me completely off the internet. I guess they did not like what I had to say, what I was saying. Man, that was freaky and deaky. But we're gonna continue. We're gonna try to pick up where I left off if they let me. I think. Uh, my goodness, my goodness. They're so touchy, right? All right. So we were talking about Russia and Ukraine, and they took me off the air. So now, let's see. Where do we want to go here? I wanted to talk about my man Deion Sanders, right? And for some reason, they took that whole story down. But you all know that Deion Sanders made Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year. That was another one of my favorite stories of this year. He did his thing, even though his team did not go on to win any bowl games or didn't rank, high. They lost 8 games. They won 4. He still made history over there in what he did, changing the lives of so many young men. Mr. Deion Sanders, to me, in my book, he's a hero and he should be uplifted. His story is phenomenal. He's a excellent dad. He's not a deadbeat dad as some of these athletes are. He's really in his son's life. So I think that kudos should go to him and salute to him for being, number one, being in his children's lives, especially these young men. He has 3 young men and he's in their lives and they love their dad dearly. And I love that type of family feel good story, especially when it comes to our black men, right? And so Coach Prime is definitely number one in my book as far as men in this hour. Um, I give all shots out to him, and I'm wishing him much success in the next year, to come. Now, family, since you all stayed in with me, I want to say once again, um, please, if you have not gone over to News, Facts, and Comments, right? Please do so. Go to News, Facts, and Comments and subscribe, because in 2024, all of these sessions, Nfnc Sunday Rap sessions, will be aired on News, Facts, and Comments only. So if you're listening now, if you're in the chat, salute to everybody that's in the chat and staying here with me. I love you all. If you have not subscribed to News, Facts, and Comments on YouTube, please go over there and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we return the second week of January. We're taking a 2-week break. We appreciate all the subscribers that's already subscribed, but the thing is, we want to move the News, Facts, and Comments to that YouTube channel, so we'll have more room on Major TV Let's Talk and the Cody Speaks channel to do more interviews and bring you guys more opinionated programming, right? We want to reserve News, Facts, and Comments just for that. The news, giving y'all the facts in the comments so you can go straight through it, skip through all of the rigmarole and get the up-to-date news. I'm going to be doing more breaking news stories, and you'll find them on News, Facts, and Comments. Also, don't forget, we do have a website that corresponds. I don't ask for donations. I am not monetized. I do not intend to be monetized, okay? So it's not about your money. It's about you receiving the information. This is why I do this. So there's a website that goes along with News, Facts, and Comments on YouTube. The website is newsfactsnc.net. Support us so we can continue to bring you the news. How do you support? Just subscribe. Just subscribe so that you can get our newsletters from the website, and that you'll get breaking news stories that we post to YouTube. And you can also shop. I mean, if you want to give something back, go to the shop, and shop for some things that you might like for yourself. Some NFNC gear or accessories, right? And that's the way that you can give back. I particularly like this one because I say this all the time. It's not a job, it's a lifestyle. That's my favorite tee that we have there. It's not a job, it's a lifestyle to me. The way that we move and the way that we're going to be moving forward in 2024 is going to be a lifestyle, and it's not grievous. So it's not a job. I do this because I believe in my people and I want to see my people win. And stay tuned, because we're going to be making some changes to the shop to make things more affordable for everyone, and to be able to show our appreciation. And not only that, when you go to the shop and you purchase something, 3% of the net proceeds will go to Otho.org to help him with his legal fund. So that's a way, and that's my promise. I'm a member of the Mighty 300. I've been supporting Otho since this whole thing started. Since the day he was arrested, I've been right there with him. And so what I'm saying is, in order for me to continue to be able to support him, I need you guys to support me. So you can support him on your own, Otho.org. But if you want something tangible for your donation, you can come over here and shop Nfnc, and 3% of all my net proceeds, whatever I make on this channel, on this website, 3% of those net proceeds go to OTHAL.org, OTHAL.org, Legal Defense Fund. And I thank y'all in advance for supporting us. I could not have done this without you guys. And you guys keep me motivated. Shouts out to my sister Red Storm over on IG. She's like my #1 media correspondent, even though she don't consider herself. So I consider her my #1 media correspondent. She's always constantly sending me stories and putting me in the know so that I can bring those stories to you guys. And I appreciate that. If you want to be a media correspondent, all you got to do is hit me up on IG at a Cody Speaks and share the story. If you have individuals that you want me to interview, or we pick a particular organization that you think that we should highlight, let me know, and we'll get in touch with those individuals as well and try to bring them on our programming. And so it's been a pleasure sharing all these stories with you all. It's been a pleasure talking to you all when we do the Black Thoughts and Reflections. We're going to do more of that, Black Thoughts and Reflections, over on the Cody Speaks channel. But I say again, news, facts, and comments is where you want to go and subscribe to for all the latest news that affect our community. My feed is going to be on the ground next year. You're going to get some exclusives, news stories, some exclusive facts, and of course, a little bit of my commentary. So I want to say salute to everybody that's in the chat. Black men praise the Most High. Sister Dee Taylor. I'm in purgatory till the Most High come. Avenge to ancestors. Kevin Harris. We salute you all for being with us and staying 10 toes down with us. Your support is very much appreciated. And you know, we love the fact that you guys are interested in the news. So for more news, subscribe to News, Facts, and Comments on YouTube, and also visit the website for all your latest news that we drop on a daily basis. If it's affecting you, we're going to definitely be sharing it with you. And so with that, I always say, I love you all with the love of Yahuwah. Take care of yourself and each other. And until next year, that's a wrap.
For the money, you know what it is. 2 for the show, yeah, we shut it down. 3 just to make sure you ready. 4, let them know that we run this town. 1 for the money, you know what it is. 2 for the show, yeah, we shut it down. 3 just to make sure you ready. 4, let them know that we run. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You are now tuned in to the greatest of all time. The greatest of all time. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be better. 1 for the money, you know what it is. 2 for the show, yeah, we shut it down. 3 just to make sure you ready. 4, let them know that we run this town. 1 for the money, you know what it is. 2 for the show, yeah, we shut it down. 3 just to make sure you ready.